The world ends! Qualcomm buys Arduino! We must all go crazy, run on the street, raise our hand at an angle, lay down and die. Is it really all that bad? Or is it actually more of a normal operation, what we don't really need to worry about so much? Well, in the next few minutes, I'm going to first take a quick look at what is new in the Arduino Uno Q, and then look at how I think that the market and the situation will develop. The cooperation with Qualcomm is actually not as surprising as it sounds at first. If we look here, in 2016, I had just come out of retirement, there was an Arduino Developer Summit held by the fraction that lost the Arduino Civil War. And the pictures that you are seeing now are from my archive. And who they show is Kati Giauri, who is most famous for her role at Qualcomm. And then there is another very interesting story, namely that Federico Musto, the general of the fraction that lost, also had some kind of monetary connection to Qualcomm. This is just a rumor, of course, but it is a very interesting background information which we should keep in mind as we now go to look at the Arduino Q. Well, there is of course a new Arduino Uno called Arduino Uno Q, and it has first this Qualcomm Dragonwing thing here, which is an quad-core ARM processor, and then secondarily a real-time MCU designed by ST Microelectronics. And it is advertised as a two-brain architecture. And at this point, our historian sense should tingle, because this thing here, if we remember it, it basically did the same thing. It had a Linux SoC, and it had an 8-bit Atmel real-time processor connected by a serial link. So in many ways, the Arduino Uno Q is an old new thing. And if we look at it, here we see also, by and large, on the front things which we know. We have this Qweek connector here for the modulinos and the classic Arduino Uno headers. However, what we don't know is if this one is going to be 3.3 volt only or 3 and 5. I personally think it's going to be 3.3 volt only. I asked during the stream and I wasn't told. But one interesting aspect is here at the bottom. If anybody of you has been following Eric Bogatin, then it is well known that the Arduino Uno's headers are basically a negative example for signal integrity. And we see here on the new machine, at the bottom, we get a different set of headers, which they call high-speed headers, and claim that they will expose a variety of signals like MIPI and so on, and that there will be a carrier board which gives additional access to the various functions available. As for the structure of the SoC itself, I'm going to show this on a static image. Basically, it's an octa-core ARM chip. It brings Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and it does have a graphical accelerator and an AI accelerator on board. And it is claimed to be able to do all of that with about 1 to 1.2 watts of power consumption. And before we finish talking about the Arduino Uno Q, still this slide is interesting because you see that the machine can also work as a standalone process computer, similar to this Orange Pi here. And how they accomplish this is actually pretty simple. They use the USB-C port for everything, including video signals. As for pricing and options, there will be two variants of the system. As you see here on the screen, the official prices and availabilities. And what needs to be emphasized is that Mouser, RS and DigiKey were on site for the announcement. And if we check the prices, we see that two of the distributors have already uploaded prices into OEM secrets. It's time for a little interlude now to look at the ecosystem consequences. And I know Qualcomm has a terrible reputation, but we need to understand one thing. Qualcomm is a publicly traded company, and so they always need to show shareholder value, because this here should say plus at all times. And this leads to some interesting aspects in relationship to how the new Arduino will behave in regards to other partners. Of course, Qualcomm's official announcement during the takeover was that we will equally support all chip manufacturers and all ecosystem players, and we remain committed to open source. And I actually believe that this is true, at least to some level, because we need to understand what the actual value of the Arduino is, and also what is the position of Qualcomm in relationship to other manufacturers. You there, I need your help. You know, it's the algorithm. Down there, subscribe, like, leave a comment and activate the bell. The bell. Thank you. If we look at the whole ecosystem value chain, what the actual value of the Arduino is the hardware abstraction layer. There are hundreds of books and millions of developers who know how to interact with microcontroller hardware using this Arduino APIs. The boards actually are not that important. The real-time operating system, CFUR, basically it sleeps in every bed. So this is not the problem. The value is here the hardware abstraction layer. And this is where capitalism comes in. Because this is valuable only as long as all the implementers are satisfied. So the library people are satisfied, the app developers are satisfied. Only if the people on top here are satisfied, this asset remains valuable. And to understand why the happiness of everybody is so important, we look here at the history of development. We see the HAL has been developed, blah blah blah, until Qualcomm took it over. And even if Qualcomm here changes the license, which is quite difficult to do, they cannot change the rights on this. And the strength of such a project is the people. And if the people get unhappy, then they can simply go here and branch and start their own branch, kind of like this. And if this happens, the Qualcomm fleeing movement happens, then all of this here on this side is completely worthless, because all of the attention will stay here. And this version of the hardware abstraction layer then is completely lost for Qualcomm. So it is in Qualcomm's highest interest to keep all the stakeholders here as happy as possible, because only then their investment retains its value. One aspect of the Arduino platform which people might now get worried about is what happens to the chip diversity. And the answer to this is actually surprising, because I don't think anything will happen. And the reason for this is pretty simple. The Arduino, as popular as it is, by and large, it is not everything you need to make a microcontroller successful. Because microcontroller hardware is just the beginning. To actually be successful in the microcontroller field, you also need an IDE and an ecosystem. You need field engineering, distribution, documentation. And if you look at Qualcomm, I think they definitely can get the hardware right. But this is where it all becomes a problem. Because the target customer for Qualcomm is maybe 10, 20, 30 companies making phones. They are in no way equipped for handling the needs of a small microcontroller user which maybe buys 10,000 chips or 15,000 chips a year. And so, in many ways, from the point of view of another microcontroller manufacturer, Qualcomm, here our friend Q-Man, is actually the least dangerous competitor. Because you see, he is singing, "How can I grape if I have no penis? I wanna grape but I have no penis." And you see the rest of the manufacturers, Espressive, NXP, Nordic, SGS Thompson, they're all like, "Ah, be quiet, my friend, stop your lamentation." Or so they should be. These people, the Raspberry Pi people, they might actually get salty. But in their case, I don't think it is because they actually threaten an attack or fear an attack by Qualcomm in the microcontroller space, but rather for the very simple reason that they now see Arduino encroaching into their process computer space. And so for this reason, they might get salty. But even if they do get salty, the RP2040 is available in distribution. And for the amount you need to make Arduino boards, I don't think that the Raspberry Pi Foundation is really going to bother doing anything because they can't do anything anyways. And with that, I thank you very much for listening. Hope to see you again soon. And if you have any questions or any feedback, leave it down here in the comments. Thank you so much.